Hello, how do ye do? I'm balding, but I won't let you know that. Alright, no, it's still pretty obvious. Yeah, I'm gonna be teaching you today how to be a tranny, and everyone will be okay with it, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Hopefully no one will be mad about it, so that's a lie. People are gonna hate you. I'm just kidding. Okay, I've heard some horror stories. Before we get into the topic, I want to tell you a few things first. I recently came out with a new Twitch streaming schedule. I stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 4:30, 3:30 Central. So please come because please come. I will be sharing my own experience today and also shedding some of my God tier advice on you folk. So, I do not know your situation. If you are in a position where you feel like it would put you in physical harm to come out, don't do it. Like, if you know for a fact that if you tell your dad that you're a trap and he will start beating you with a 2x4, and that's not a joke, that's a real thing. Don't do it. I'm not trying to get anyone's head bashed in. And 3, if you're gonna come on this channel and you're gonna come comment under this video because you're a hater and you don't like trans people, not sure how you ended up on my channel and my video, not sure why you even clicked, but please X out now. This is an educational, lighthearted, fun environment, and you don't belong here, so get out. Get out! Get out right now! Like I always say, you can pick on me, but don't pick on anyone else who comments under this video or who watches this video, because they are my children, and I will look out for them. I pushed them out of my own fucking neo-vagina. I'm not gonna let you bully them. Last thing I want to say. And if you are, really male, female, cis, transgender, if you partake in body shaving, this is how I go. So I'll shave my entire body, and then I'll wait months before I do it again. And when it is time for a full body shave, it is a ritual. I just spent 2 hours sitting in my small apartment bathtub, shaving every inch of my body, with the exception of my arms, because for some reason I feel like hairy arms on a gal shows like, she's in charge, she's a go-getter, she's a type A. I got so lightheaded. There were so many points where I felt like I was gonna pass out. I am 6'4". I am 76 inches of skin. There is so much surface area for me to shave. It's not a light task. So all of my smooth men and women and non-binary folk out there, I commend you, because it takes a lot of effort. And if you are of an ethnicity that involves very light to non-existent body hair, Princess Jules, I'm talking to you. I am very, very jealous. It was steamy, I was clean, but I also was dirty because I was sweating. I almost slipped and broke my hip twice. I'm 21 years old, I could probably use a life alert. That is dangerous. I'm not as skilled and versed as Gigi. She's come out 3 times. I've only come out twice. Most trans women will come out twice, because most trans women come out as a gay male, and then they come out as a trans woman. Let's start with the gay male one. I won't bore you with it, but here's the gist of it. I was 12 or 13, and I was getting reckless. You know when you have a secret and you're trying to keep it, and like you do really good at first, but then it just eats and eats and eats away inside of you, and you start letting stuff slip? That's what happened. So I was on a cruise, and my parents, they would probably laugh if they heard this. We had a very attractive waiter, and I was enamored by him. Enough for my parents to comment it on at the dinner table. They were like, "Oh, you like him, don't you?" I'm like, "What? I don't like men. Get away from me. That's gross. I don't like men. I don't like cocks. I don't like that." I was lying. So I was so obsessed with him to the point where after the cruise, I just had the biggest crush. I could not stop thinking about him. So I was on the phone, and I was sitting in the backseat of my car. My parents were driving, and I was talking to my best friend Bridget at the time. Hey girlie, if you're watching, miss you, haven't seen you in like 8 years. Was on the phone with her, being like, dropping like subtle, like, hints about how I thought this guy was hot, but not saying it directly. Like, I was like, oh my God, that person was like so hot. Like, that person. Clearly not trying to use like pronouns. And my parents picked up on it, and they got frustrated. They were like, do you have something that you need to tell us? Do you like cock? And I was like, what? No. And then about a week after, I believe I sat them down and told them, and I got a pretty interesting reaction. They were crying. You would have acted like our family pet had just died. I'm not too sure what that was about, but they were upset. They weren't angry. There maybe a little bit of anger. The anger and upsetness came from my parents being worried for me, and being worried that I would have a hard life and that something bad was going to happen to their child. They love me. My parents are obsessed with me. They love me. So of course, you don't want anything bad to happen to your child. That was where the frustration and the crying and the yelling and the beat, no, I'm just kidding. That's where all of that came from. And over time, I realized that. You have to realize that if you're getting a shitty reaction, 9 times out of 10, it's because you are their child and they love you and they are worried about you. So the gay coming out, it doesn't really count. That wasn't my true form. That wasn't my final form. I wasn't finished evolving, if you will. So that was kind of like the warm-up for me coming out as trans. Like, this was okay, this one's easy. Like, I love cock. But there's another thing coming. They just didn't know it yet. I think they did, which we'll get into later. But in that moment, I didn't know it was a warm-up at the time because I never imagined myself coming out as a woman. But in the bigger picture, it was the warm-up. It was the stretch. It was a little jog before the sprint, if you will. Between the period of me coming out as gay and then me coming out as trans, there was a lot of gender expression confliction in the home. There was a lot of, you can't do this. Why are you doing this? You're a man, not a woman. You're gay, but you're not a woman. What are you doing? Why do you have my dresses on? Why are you putting on my makeup? Specifically, I remember a moment where my parents were at a play, I think. That makes them sound so aristocratic. They're not. They got tickets to something and they were at it. And they had gone to dinner, and I was in my mom's bathroom. I was sitting at the vanity. I was playing in all of her makeup. I was rubbing her foundation all over my face. It wasn't a match, but I was having the time of my life. You couldn't tell me anything. I put on that makeup. I was standing in the mirror. I was like, I'm a woman. I'm fish, as the kids say. Well, I thought that they weren't going to be home for a while, and I thought that I had time. I thought that I had time to wipe off the mask, tuck myself in my bed, and put on some baseball, and I could hide my truth. Well, wrong. My parents got home way earlier than I expected, and it was a frantic rat race. I'm in the bathroom. I've got a face full of Maybelline, and I hear the door jingle, and I'm like, oh no, I've got a jet. I don't know how to put makeup on, much less take it off. So I'm grabbing a towel, I'm rubbing, it's just smearing it everywhere, it's in my hair. So I hurry up, run the bath, and I'm like dunking my head in. I'm like, oh, I need to wash it off. Well, of course, my mom, she loves me, so she comes into the bathroom and she's like, hello, and then she's like, is that makeup? And I was like, what? What do you mean makeup? It's not makeup. What? So that was a whole thing. It was like, I got in trouble. And when you look at it from a bigger perspective, it's like, okay, I was at home putting on makeup. Why is that so scary? Why did I get in trouble? At this point, I think they knew that something else was up. You know the warm-up we talked about earlier? I think they were realizing that it was indeed a warm-up and not my final form. I was not a type 2, stage 2 Pokemon. I was basic. I was base level. It was time to amp it up a little bit. There was a lot of me wanting to body shave. Since I couldn't really wear makeup, I couldn't grow my hair out, I couldn't wear ultra feminine clothing. I would try to express my femininity in other ways. So I would do a lot of body shaving. I was a smooth gal. I loved to shave my legs and send pictures to the middle school boys. I got banned from that. They were like, no, you can't shave your legs, that you're gonna get bullied. You're gonna get picked on. People are gonna target you. You cannot shave your leg. I remember at that point, I was like flirting with this like high school boy at the time. And he was like very questioning his sexuality. I wasn't a woman, obviously, so I was like a little boy. And he loved the fact that I had shaved legs, sweetie. I would send him pictures. I would be like, look at these smooth little hot dogs. Well, I thought it was the end of the world because as soon as I couldn't shave my legs, and that hair started growing, he started declining those calls. He started declining those FaceTimes, and he started leaving those texts on red. I was like, why don't you like me? Why can't I talk to you anymore? What's going on? He's like, you're hairy, you're a beast. I was very upset. I felt like my world was being crushed. So, something had to give. I would wear feminine sunglasses. At that time, it was all about the big bug eyes. It was all about the big eye coverage, the big retina coverage. My mom and my dad would be like, why are you wearing women's sunglasses? Those are for women. You're a man. You're not a woman. Years and years went on of me slowly expressing myself as female and expressing my feminine traits. It got to a point where I realized over time, and it took me about a year to like start the mental process of realizing and doing the research and looking into it and realizing that's what I was. It took about a year of that, and then I got to my breaking point. I was like very depressed, very anxious, very irritable. I remember I would just fight with my sister all the time, and I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why I would fight with her so much because I love her to death. Now we're best friends. But in that time period, I was so envious of her because she was a woman. It was very upsetting. It was hard. And long story short, I realized that I needed to transition. That's what I needed to do. And you all know I hate saying this word. It's so cringy to me. It's so overused, but I was transgender. Can you believe it? Spooky, right? It's pretty scary. It was scary. So I remember that I had a sort of coming out. I think it was a period of me telling my parents that I felt like I was a girl and I felt like it's what I wanted to do. But the problem was I didn't articulate myself well. And we'll get into this. This is a key point. It can sometimes be very hard to articulate a feeling that you're having so deeply and that's consuming your life so much. It's very hard to articulate that in a very educated and calm and collected way when it's something that you feel so strongly about. And as a trans person, coming to this conclusion, you've probably done a lot of research, you feel like you have a great understanding of it. But what you have to realize is that, oh my God, I just got the bubble guts. I feel like my body is erupting. I feel like I'm about to have a fucking chemical explosion through my bowel. And I might shit in the chair. Parents, typically the average human does not have that knowledge and that understanding like you do. They're also not going through it, so they can't relate to it. There's a lot of misinformation in the media. There's a lot of misconstrued, negative connotation associated with trans people because we don't get a lot of exposure, especially at this time of me coming out. So in my first attempt, it was like this passionate rage, like, I am a woman and I need to transition and put me on hormones. I need to wear a dress. Let me paint my nails. Woman, why aren't you letting me do this? You're hateful. I hate you. I literally, for the first time in my life, I told my mom that. I literally said to my mom, I hate you. And of course, that's not how I feel. I love you. Mom, if you're watching, I love you so much. Mwah, and I miss you. I can't wait to see you soon. I love her. But I was so angry at her because I was trapped. I felt so trapped. I wasn't able to articulate myself. So what I did was I sent her a video. You know when you fall down the transgender rabbit hole and you find all these documentaries and all these talk shows with trans people and you just watch and watch and watch? If you've done that, you know what I'm talking about. I sent her a video. It's the video of the transgender couple where the man is female to male and the woman is male to female, and they're a couple. And in this interview, it was a specific interview that they did, I thought they really articulated well what it feels like to be trans and what it was like growing up and how they felt in their head. So one day while I was at work, I sent my mom the video, and all I said, I sent her the link, and I was like, this is how I feel. I would like to talk to you about it when we get home. Very professional, very, very to the point. I've given you a little homework, a little project. Watch this video. We'll talk about it when I get home. This is how I feel. I think this does a better job of explaining than I can. So, still wasn't the best reaction. There was a lot of pull and tug and like, what do you mean? Like, how do you know that you feel like this? You can't be a girl. What do you mean? Like, this is so confusing. Long story short, I sat down and I talked calmly, precise and to the point, and there was a period of time for a few months where there was a lot of misunderstanding. There was a lot of, well, I want to help you because I see that you're so broken, but I still am not okay with this and I don't get it and I'm confused. And then as time and time went on and I started transitioning and I started being who I knew that I was, and I hate saying that, I started feeling like I was myself. I started feeling like the way I should have always been. And my parents saw that I was happier and I was thriving and I wasn't as sad and I was more interactive with the family because I felt finally like a part of the family. It's hard to feel a part of something when you don't even feel like you're complete, when you don't even feel like you're ready to present yourself. So basically, over time, my parents came around with a lot of therapy and a lot of communication. That's very, very important. Over time, we have an amazing relationship now. Both of my parents, my mother and my father, I love them dearly. They love me dearly. I have a sister, so now they are fully aware of the fact that they have two beautiful girls. They have two daughters. They love me very much. They call me she, her, hers, ma'am. They call me Victoria. They're very respectful. They don't purposely call me the wrong name. They don't purposely call me he or anything like that. They fully 100% accept me as their daughter. But the point is, it was not always like that. Even when I started transitioning, there was a lot of slip-ups. There was a lot of, well, how do you expect me to call you a different name? I've been calling you the same damn thing for the past, it was 17. It came out when I was 17. I've been calling you the same damn thing for the last 17 years. What do you mean I have to call you a different name? What do you mean I have to call you she? There was a lot of slip-ups in the beginning. There was a lot of like, cringy moments, like, but now I'm 21, almost 22 years old, turn up, woo! And I am their daughter, and it takes time. So that's my personal story, that's my personal gig. Mom and Dad, if you're watching, love you the most. You know I'm the favorite daughter, don't forget it. Who's the prettiest daughter? Me, I'm just kidding. We're both so pretty. My sister is actually prettier than me. Even though I'm a woman now, she's still prettier, so what the fuck? So let's get into my tips. Number one, I would recommend that sometimes the best thing isn't to sit down and have the talk because it can be quickly filled with passion. I recommend writing a letter because when you write a letter, you can edit it and you can go over it and you can work on it for days and you can make sure you say everything you need to say in the way that you need to articulate yourself, but also in a way that your parents will understand. If you don't have, I would recommend working on it on a computer. That way you can save it, come back, maybe, come back the next day, work on it a little bit more. If you don't have access to a computer, write it with pencil. That way you can erase, make some changes. It's kind of like a school project, but it's the most important project of your life. Don't forget it. This will make or break you. No, I'm just kidding. It will take time. It's, some people are very lucky and they have parents that are very accepting right away and, oh, they're so progressive and so liberal and they're just like, oh, yes, 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 you're a woman. Not always like that. So don't get discouraged. Like I was talking about in the beginning, if there's a lot of backlash and hate and flipping the switch and you're like, what's going on? I'm just trying to be myself. Just understand that they're your parents and they are worried about you. And all you hear about, only thing you hear about trans people is them getting popped and them getting dropped to the ground and dying and getting bullied and all this stuff. So that's all people a lot of people know, and you have to understand that you have to do a lot of educating. You're taking on the role as a woman, but also a teacher. And my final tip, if all else fails, if they just don't come around and you think they're never gonna come around, don't lose hope, because I've heard of people's parents coming around after years. Some people's journeys, parents' journeys might take longer than others. That's just how it is. But if they just never come around, just know, especially if you're a kid, one day you will be an adult, and one day you can escape it, and you will be on your own, and you won't have to be under their rule, and you will be able to get there. I promise. Everyone's journeys are different. I wish you all the best, though. I wish you the best of luck, because coming from someone who has supportive parents, it wasn't always like that. Just know that you might not have them now, but you could have them one day, and I really, really, really hope that you do. And above all else, just communicate with passion. Don't communicate with anger. Don't communicate with force. Communicate with emotions. Let them know how you feel, because it's very easy to tell someone, well, I'm a girl. I want to be a girl. But that brings up so many questions. It's confusing. When you phrase it as, I feel like I need to transition for my well-being. I feel sick. I feel depressed. I feel like this is what I need to do. I know that I need to take these steps. That brings in the compassion element, and it brings in the well, I don't want my child to hurt. I don't want my child to be distraught. I want to help my child. You have to look at it and kind of mind read, kind of be a psychic, like a psychic twins moment. You've got to kind of predict how they're going to react. I wish you all the best. I hope you have the best of luck. There's nothing more than I want is for you guys to have success in your coming out, whether you come out as gay or transgender or something else. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that you have a good support system. And just remember that if you don't have a good support system, you have me. So I'm here for you. I support you. If you have any questions at all, and I'm not just saying this out the ass, if you have any questions, comment down below. There are so many educated trans people in my comment section that would be more than willing to help you. Also, I am willing to help you, so I'll be replying to some of those comments as well. Just be honest, let us know what you need help with, and we will do our best. I love you all so much. Like I said, I have a new Twitch streaming schedule. I would really appreciate it if you checked me out on there. Twitch is like my second home. All of my social media is in the description if you'd like to follow me in other places. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I know it's your choice, and I don't want to pressure you. This is a peer pressure-free zone, but it would help me out so much and help me to continue make videos if you were to subscribe. And yeah, I love you so, so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. I love you so much. Bye.